In this video, we're going to look at variance. So variance is another measure of spread, but it's very closely related to the standard deviation. In fact, it is just the standard deviation squared. Another way of phrasing that is that standard deviation is the square root of the variance. Let's have a look at this. Okay, so we saw that we had this formula for the standard deviation. The standard deviation was the square root of the sum of the squared terms over n minus the mean squared. The variance, which is usually just written as sigma squared, is really just the right hand side but without the square root. So the sum of the squares over n minus the mean squared. All right, so the first question is, why do we care about the variance? What does the variance represent? Well, the variance does not represent anything that intuitive. Okay, so before I was saying that the standard deviation for the shop, if it's £93, it means that a normal day would have an amount, they'd make an amount of money within about £93 of the mean. The variance does not have the same intuitive definition or sense of what it means. So why do we care about it? Well, there's two reasons. One is that it's easier to compute because it doesn't involve the square root, and also the knock-on effect of that is that it means that certain calculations later on are only going to be possible with variance. So it's easier to compute, and that means that we can do stuff with it later on much more easily than we can with standard deviation. So due to the fact that there's no square root and the terms are a little bit more easy to manipulate, it just crops up a lot later on in the course. So let's have a quick look at how we would do this. If they said calculate the variance for shop 1, well, we would use this formula. We would sub in the sum of the squares, which is down here. So 1, 2, 2, 9, 9, 2, 3. Divide that by the number of terms, which is 7. Subtract the mean squared. And list our variance. We can either just key that into the calculator, or we can look here because it's actually this term there. The variance is just the sigma squared x. So that's 8,655.92. Now, remember the units for the standard deviation are whatever the units of your original data is, which is pounds here. So the units for variance is that squared. So it's a slightly weird concept of that many pounds squared. So the units are just whatever the units for standard deviation was, but squared. All right, that's it for variance. It's not really going to crop up that much this year, but it will crop up again next year. But as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. It is just the standard deviation, but without that square root on it.